Episode 404. Sun Shang was also a pretty good-looking guy. Once he reached the center of the stage, he began waving to the crowd on all sides, as if he'd already won. The host stepped forward and, as he did with every challenger, asked Sun Shang his reason for challenging Han Wenqing.
The reason is simple.
Sun Shang smiled with the air of a true master.
To settle the long-standing rivalry between Excellent Era and Tyranny, between One Autumn Leaf and Desert Dust.
The audience was stunned for a moment, then erupted into loud cheers and roars. Sun Shang's statement might not sound as cool as Tang Hao's on the swordsman line at first, but the meaning it carries is far more significant. Tang Hao's challenge was just a rivalry over the title of the top brawler, but Sun Shang's fight was a clash between gods in glory, and it represented the long-standing feud between two veteran clubs. As Excellent Era's captain, wielding One Autumn Leaf, Sun Shang was indeed the one to shoulder this responsibility. While Samsara fans made up the majority of the crowd, nobody minds a good show. If these two teams were going to fight to the death, no Glory fan would want to miss it. A smaller, scattered chorus of boos and shouts rose up, the not-so-numerous fans of Tyranny. How could they possibly accept Sun Shang's stubborn defiance? They couldn't help but start cursing without any restraint. Tyranny had its fans, and so did Excellent Era, but the cheers from Excellent Era's supporters seemed to blend in with the general crowd, not standing out as much. However, the Excellent Era fan beside Ye Shu was a particularly conspicuous and excited one. She jumped up, waving her arms and shouting,
"Down with Han Wenqing!"
Hey, slow down.
Ye Shu quickly called out, genuinely afraid Chen Guo would get so worked up she'd take a header into the seats in front of them. Tyranny's captain, Han Wenqing, finally stepped onto the competition stage as the host announced his name. Though Sun Shang wasn't the most humble person, he didn't want to be seen as rude in front of everyone. He stepped forward and shook Han Wenqing's hand.
I look forward to your guidance, Senior.
He did at least know the polite things to say.
Sure.
Han Wenqing took Sun Shang's offered hand, gave it a single firm shake, and spoke of. Sun Shang gave a low chuckle and turned, already walking toward his competition stage. The host had intended to approach Han Wenqing for a quick interview, but as he circled around to the front and met the man's icy gaze, a chill ran down his spine, and not a single word escaped his lips. Han Wenqing gave a wave in return, acknowledging the cheers from the crowd, then headed for his own competition booth. Since both players were using their own account cards, the steps of allocating stat points and selecting equipment were naturally skipped. Soon, the lights dimmed, and the holographic projection displayed the map across the arena. The two miracle characters, One Autumn Leaf and Desert Dust, have now appeared at opposite ends of the map. Even the commentators were more fired up for this match. Knowing the two would clash any second, they didn't dare pause for breath, rattling off introductions of the players and their characters at breakneck speed.
Both the Battle Mage and the Brawler are very direct combat classes. Looking at Sun Shang's choice of this street map, there's no inherent advantage or disadvantage for either profession here. This doesn't seem to be a tactical selection.
After introducing the players and their characters, the commentator moved on to describe the map. Such a formal commentary style is quite rare in the Rookie Challenge. However, the commentator had already recognized that this match would be a serious fight, which is why they began their analysis from the very start, just as they would for a league match.
Excellent. Neither side wasted any time, meeting head-on right in the center of the map.
At a street corner in the very center of the map, the two avatars came face to face. One Autumn Leaf's silver weapon, Evil Annihilation, gleamed with a dark, cold light, while Desert Dust's silver weapon, Blazing Crimson Fists, looked like two bewitching flames enveloping his fists. The two characters were still 10 body lengths apart. They paused briefly, then, as if exchanging a pre-fight greeting, charged forward almost simultaneously. The Battle Mage's long weapon gave it a clear reach advantage over the Striker, whose fists were the shortest range weapons in the game. Sun Shang was the first to strike. A flash of black light, and One Autumn Leaf's Evil Annihilation shot forward in a dragon tooth thrust. Han Wenqing didn't even try to dodge. Desert Dust charged forward, arms twisting to catch Evil Annihilation bare-handed in an attempt to seize the initiative. Sun Shang wasn't about to give him that chance. He swiftly changed his thrust into an upward flick, turning Dragon Tooth into a Sky Strike. The empty-handed disarm attempt missed its mark, and with the skill on cooldown, there was no way to immediately use another. Desert Dust twisted his body to the side to avoid the incoming evil annihilation, as if begrudging even a single extra step. The moment the attack cleared, he was already surging forward, throwing a punch. The fiery red fist shot out like a tiger pouncing down the mountain. Sun Shang hastily made his character leap back to dodge, but Han Wenqing, who never knew the meaning of retreat, immediately pressed forward to attack again. Sun Shang never even got a chance to leverage the battle mage's superior attack range. In just a few simple exchanges, Han Wenqing had already closed the distance, bringing Desert Dust right up to one Autumn Leaf's side. Fists and feet flew in a chaotic flurry. Sun Shang blocked them, but it was a clumsy, desperate defense. Honestly, that clumsiness was the best he could manage. Anyone less skilled would have had their health bar shredded by Han Wenqing's onslaught. Sun Shang weathered the storm of blows and let out a long breath. He was just about to launch a counterattack when he saw Desert Dust across from him sink into a horse stance, left hand feinting forward, right hand pressed against his waist.
Oh no!
Sun Shang was startled. This was the opening stance for the striker's ultimate skill, Tyrant's Fist. A skill like this had an extremely long cooldown. Usually, players would weave it into a combo, choosing a moment when their opponent had no chance to dodge to deliver a devastating blow. But one Autumn Leaf, under Sun Shang's control, was in no such position. Using an ultimate at a time like this, for a pro player, dodging it would be far too easy. What a waste. He never expected Han Wenqing to unleash a major skill at a moment like this. Yet, that's exactly what Han Wenqing did. Sun Shang wasn't even thinking about launching a counterattack now. The priority of this Tyrant's Fist was no joke. It tore through the air with a sharp, piercing howl. The Tyrant's Fist was unleashed, a single punch, yet it pushed both power and speed to their absolute limit. Sun Shang managed to dodge in a panic, but the mere force of the punch's wind was enough to send one Autumn Leaf stumbling. Sun Shang's control was truly exceptional. Even as one Autumn Leaf stumbled and his view shook, the spear Evil Annihilation never stopped moving. It danced before him in a rapid blur, the churning blue waves of energy remaining perfectly ordered, a clear sign of masterful skill execution. With a flick, Evil Annihilation pierced through the layer of deep blue ripples, which then clung to its spearhead. Although Sun Shang hadn't been hit by the Tyrant's Fist, the sheer force of its wind had already put him at a disadvantage. In such a disadvantage, most would be forced to wait for the opponent's next wave of attacks. But Sun Shang, from within this very disadvantage, executed a major skill through sheer technique. Dragon emerges from the sea. The Evil Annihilation, flipping and soaring out, seemed to pierce through a cresting wave, its attached blue ripples churning with a sound like roaring water. Desert Dust was still in his recovery frames. There was no way anyone could have dodged a strike that came this fast. Evil Annihilation stabbed into Desert Dust, the blue ripples washing over him like water. Sun Shang was quick to seize the opening. Evil Annihilation danced through the air as he unleashed a relentless barrage of attacks, delivering a powerful counter-assault against Han Wenqing. The two traded blow for blow, unleashing a torrent of skills, big and small. In the flood of dazzling visual effects, it was almost impossible to tell the characters apart. The two were evenly matched. After that initial exchange, neither could press the attack for more than 3 consecutive moves. Spears and fists flew, and the surrounding scenery had been reduced to rubble. The battle was clearly ferocious, yet the health bars of both characters had barely budged. In such a fierce battle, most of their attacks were dodged or deflected by the other. The stalemate dragged on, lasting over 10 minutes.